I apologise for the rants that took up most of the last part, but thankfully in this part something very significant is about to happen, both story and gameplay-wise. Yes, if you know this game well, this is the moment you've probably been waiting for. We're about to get the most epic and broken weapon in the whole Fire Emblem series. But first we need to get rid of this guy. I'm just abusing on him for a little bit of experience, just hitting him from long range with weak attacks. I know I normally cut this stuff out, but this isn't really all that significant. Well, it's nowhere near what I did to Macbeth. If I'd actually kept all that stuff on camera, then I would have added probably a couple of extra parts onto all of Chapter 2. Damn you, Great Shield! Yeah, now with Fury, it's generally best to still use the Slim Lance because she really needs the speed. Only use the Silver Lance if you really, really need extra power. Or against an enemy who's so slow you'll double attack anyway. Of course, if you need the extra evasion, then by all means, go with the Slim Lance. I mainly use the silver one for one-hit killing mages and the like. Great Shield! And I'll bet there's going to be more of that later on. Because as you get through the game, more and more bosses have Great Shields. Oh, the Give command appeared, so yes, Claude is successfully paired with Sylvia. And I muted that last few seconds because the phone rang while I was recording. Again. Anyway, if you don't manage to get Sylvia paired, that's fine. Her substitutes are usually, well, technically speaking, they're probably better than her normal children are. But it's just that in this playthrough, I'm trying to stick to the canon storyline. And well, even though it's not really as heavily implied in the story as Levin and Fury is, once you see what Sylvia's son looks like, it's pretty obvious that Claude is her canon pairing. Ah, here we go, Wrath. Come on, Wrath, work. Okay, Donnovan is now officially the most generic boss in the entire game so far. Like, just look at his battle and death quotes, and the fact that he's a palette swap. And I cut out a bit of random repositioning there, just so we can see Sigurd take the castle. The only reason we took so long to get here was because your mages were still standing in front of the only entrance point to this area. Seriously. Yes, we could have actually helped her if that mage wasn't there. Now, interestingly enough, it is possible to capture Silesia after you've captured Zaxxon. And in that case, the conversation is slightly different. I'll put a link to the script in the description. But you definitely do want to capture Silesia first. For one very, very important reason, which will become evident very soon. Yes, and you'll see that Levin can talk to Sigurd here. And this conversation really is basically a giant gameplay tip in disguise. And it is saying, have Levin visit Silesia now. And I can't stress the importance of this enough. Because if you don't get Levin to go to the castle and you miss this event, you will not only lose the most powerful weapon in the whole game for the rest of this generation, but he won't be able to pass it on to his son in the next generation either. And if that's the case, you can really forget about all that advice I've said earlier about Levin pairings, because really, it's all about this weapon he's about to get. So, I can't stress this enough, don't miss it. Get Levin to visit the castle as soon as possible. Okay, this is a definite translation glitch, but it's nothing too important. Dakar basically just says, damn it, why is my other generic boss guy failing? Send him the other generic boss. And now, we can have Levin enter the castle. And I'll cut straight to this, just because it's so important. That is true. Sigurd is supposed to be, I think, 22, and I think Levin's supposed to be about 20. Anyway, this is also, like I said at the beginning of the chapter, I actually think that it's kind of like Levin is the main character for this chapter. He certainly gets a lot more development than the average non-main Fire Emblem character gets. That line's a bit of foreshadowing, actually. Oh yeah, here we go. This is when Levin goes from very good mage to the most broken character in Fire Emblem history. And as I will get around to explaining much later in the playthrough when it's actually becomes significant, it is significant that the legendary weapon for Holsety blood is actually called Holsety, whereas all the other legendary weapons, well most of them anyway, have names that are unrelated to their crusader. And if you haven't seen this before, chances are you are not going to believe this. Okay, yes, this is real. Plus 20 to speed, giving Levin, at this point, an evasion stat of 100, which means he is practically unhittable. Not only that, but as a legendary weapon, it has 30 might. Added to the fact that Levin also has a high critical rate from his critical skill, criticaling with a 30 might weapon hitting on resistance, plus the fact that they will pretty much not be able to hit you back unless they have ridiculously high skill. And not only that, but the boost in speed means that Levin has a 70% chance of activating Continue, which makes it almost as good as Pursuit. So, next part, the real ownage begins. If you haven't seen what Levin's about to do before, then you're in for something really special. See you then.